Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of In the Zone, episode 149 today. I'm Giancarlo Aulino, and as always, I'm co-hosting here with Anthony Pagniello and Chris Martelli, and we're gonna get this kicked off here with another one of our fantasy hockey lists. This week, we're gonna go to the fantasy wingers. A lot of names have been coming up in training camp, and if you're on fantasy hockey, you know that bullshit where guys are left wing and right wingers, multiple positions. So we're just going to keep it easy here today and go just wingers overall. So, Chris, take the floor here, do your honorable mentions, and kick it off with number 10.
All right, so this one to me might be the biggest surprise. You guys actually might be shocked here. But my first honorable mention, I got Andrei Svetchnikov on Carolina. I think he's going to have a great year. Sky's the limit for him. I think he can get you 45 goals if a perfect season is among him. Another honorable mention here, Alex DeBrincat. I think he's going to also have an absolutely incredible season. As the goals have gone down for Kane, the goals have gone up for DeBrincat. I think he's an annual 40-goal scorer. And then, of course, I got another three just to kind of cheat here. I got both Winnipeg wingers in Kyle Connor and Nikolai Ehlers. And the last one on this list here, oops, that just fucking missed. See, it's a big splash. I had to do that. Is Gabriel Landeskog. He's another guy that I think he could get you. Like, he's a guy you really don't know. Like, you look at his game and know he's not a fantasy winger, but if he's on a top line, top power play all year, I wouldn't be surprised if he got 80. So those are my honorable mentions to kick it off. And number 10, I got Alex Ovechkin. I think this is the year where he starts to slow down. I think Washington as well is a team this year where the Metro's gotten a lot stronger, and I don't know if they can I don't even know if they can make the playoffs. I still think they're really good. I just don't know. I think the competition, it's a lot harder than maybe guys like Ovi and even guys like us think. So I got Ovi. Still a top 10 fantasy winger, but he's there at number 10. I think it's finally going to hit him this year. I think he'll get you 40 goals, but I'll say maybe at most like 75 points.
Yeah, I like it. Honorable mentions, pretty much the same thing. I got Andrei Svetchnikov here. I think he's going to have a solid year, but I feel like next year will be like the fucking 40-goal season breakout. So I got Ehlers here, Landeskog, and I also got Kaprizov in my honorable mentions. So ton of wingers to choose from. Any of those guys can be in your list. But yeah, so number 10 kicking it off, we got Alex DeBrincat. This guy is just a straight-up goal scorer. He's been in the league 4 years. He's already had a 40-goal season under his belt. He had 30 in the shortened season last year. Man, him and Kane together, absolutely killer. Hawks are looking better now, so I'm looking at another 40-goal season for Alex DeBrincat, so I got him here at number 10.
Yeah, so my honorable mentions, I got DeBrincat as an honorable mention. I think he should have a decent year. I agree with you guys on some of your other wingers that you mentioned in your honorable mentions. I don't think Svechnikov's an honorable mention, but I do say Jeff Skinner is an honorable mention for me. This guy needs to bounce back for his sanity, his career, his contract, and he lives in Buffalo. So this is his only way out. You got to pipe in fucking 40 goals, and they'll ship you out of there. So Jeff Skinner for me is an honorable mention. I got Patrick Laine as an honorable mention just because you don't know what we're going to get out of him in Columbus this year. And to kick off my list at number 10, I got Anthony Mantha from Washington. Chris said it best. Ovi might be slowing down this year. I think Ovi's going to slow down, but slowing down and still getting 45 goals, I'll take it. And to pick up the slack there, I got Anthony Mantha coming up and having a big year in Washington. So he's my number 10.
That would be cool to see Mantha be in this list because he's always had that potential. He's always had that I remember World Juniors, he was getting 65 goals a year. So if Mantha could do that, that would be absolutely awesome to see a fellow World Junior stud breaking out. But my number 9, oh man, this is a controversial pick. Karil Kappersov, number 9. I think this guy reminds me of Artemi Panarin, and he's finally getting his minutes, and he's finally got the contract in Minnesota. Yeah, you know what? $9 million for 55 games in this league, that is ridiculous. But you look at what he's done, you look at all the praise and all the potential that he even had before coming here. He flat out, I think he surpassed his expectations in his first year, and I expect him to lead Minnesota for probably the next 5 to 7 years in scoring every year. So I got Kaprizov getting about 90 points if everything works out well. So I know it's a little high for him, but I got him here ahead of Ovi.
I like it. Number 9, I got Kyle Connor. I fucking love this player. He's the finisher on the Jets. He's super fucking fast, man. Like 3 straight 30-goal seasons, 26 last year. Him and Ehlers are, I think, last year might have been the year those two, everyone kind of saw like, oh, the Jets are going to be that much scarier. This isn't the ceiling for them. Man, I think like a 40 and 40, like him and DeBrincat, like it was kind of like neck and neck for them. So like I think Connor's going to have another year like he did last year. Man, I think he can be there pretty much every year, 30 goals consistently. So might have him pretty high at 9, but yeah, I got him there. So
yeah, my number 9. I originally, when I was doing this list, I had Phil the Thrill in this spot in Arizona, but since the rumors came out that he might miss some time, so that Ironman streak might be coming to an end, unfortunately, had to take him out of this list. And at my number 9, I also have Kyle Connor. I'm a big fan of him. Just everything he does on Winnipeg, picks up the slack. When Laine left and got traded, here comes Dubois, and all these guys are starting to gel, I think. Just all the back defenders that they've had, and they've all had to come up. I think the wingers have been stable for them. So Connor, I think, is going to have another big year, and he's going to lead Winnipeg in scoring.
Love it. My number 8 is Brad Marchand. I think a lot of people may see that's a little low, but I think with the forwards that I'm going to be saying ahead of them, I just think that they're going to just have those years where they're either on a better team, better circumstance. I know there's no better circumstance than Brad Marchand right now. He's been carrying the number 1 line in all of hockey the last 4 or 5 years, well over a point a game. I want to say 85 points is the hallmark for him and exactly where I think the expectation should be. A lot of people are saying he can get 100 this year. I think we got to kind of relax with those projections, even though he's been anticipated and about projected to get 100 in a full 82-game season the last 3-4 years. He's been on pace to get about 94, 96, and I think it was like 95 the last 4 years in a full year. So Bergeron, I think, is taking a step. I think he's declined just a little bit. Age is getting to him. Brad Marchand's still about 31, 32 years of age. I still think he's got a lot to give here. I'll say 85 points for sure in a full year, but I wouldn't bank on 100 for Brad Marchand. But still, in fantasy hockey, Brad Marchand is still easily a really, really good option.
Shit. Alrighty. Number 8, I got Alex Ovechkin. Yeah, I'm pretty much with you guys. He may have taken a step back, whatever the fuck that means. I still think he's going to score 40 to 45. He may lead the league in shots again. Yeah, does it every year. He's going to catch Buddy's record eventually. Even when he does slow down, he'll put up like 40 goals and maybe 20 assists. The goal scoring, I don't think, will ever disappear for him. So, yeah, he'll be in this list until he retires. So, yeah, you got to love it. Ovechkin at number 8.
Number 8, I got from the Boston Bruins, Brad. So, yeah, whatever they come in Boston, I think this guy can do the same thing this year. So he's my number 8.
My number 7 is David Pastrnak, Boston. Back-to-back Boston players. Pastrnak could easily be top 5 at the end of the year. 50 goals is definitely not out of the question. He took a step back last year in even strength scoring. We all know that he's usually a power play specialist. That's usually where he gets most of the points. One of the better power plays the last couple of years. But I think Pastrnak is going to think he's going to come back stronger than ever. I know, unfortunately, he's had some tragic stuff happen this offseason, but I think it's just going to motivate him a little more to just generate that offense and be that role player that Boston has wanted him to be since getting drafted. I know how important he is to this team. I absolutely love what Pasternak's been able to do coming into the league. It was a fantastic story. 24th overall, and he's just been dominating the last 3. I know in the playoffs he's just a scary monster, but if he can, what we saw last postseason, if he can just replicate that in the regular season this year, David Pastrnak could even maybe be a top 5 scorer by season's end. So I got him right now at number 7. He could climb the list as soon as next year.
Number 7, I got Jonathan Huberdeau. This guy he really has developed into a very good player. Him and Barkov have been pretty much carrying the load the last 5-6 years over there. He's 28 years old. Basically since stepping into the league, I think he's been a very solid player. There were questions about him early on. Like, remember when he got the bus talk? I never fucking saw that for him. Didn't make any sense to me. He was always been a solid player the last 3-4 years. He's really broken out to that bona fide top line player. So I could see, I don't think 90 points is out of the question for him. So I got Jonathan Huberdeau at number 7.
Yeah, so I think cut out here. But yeah, number 8, I had Brad Marchand. And fucking pains me to say, but I was saying that, like, power play points there, him and Pastrnak, they've done a great job in Boston. And I think they're going to continue that this year with just that line they have. Bergeron, I don't think he's like slowed down too much, but they've all worked well with each other, great chemistry. My number 7 comes a little bit of a surprise, but you know what? I'm going to go with Zach Hyman from the Edmonton Oilers at this spot because this is fantasy hockey. You know how a lot of these leagues go. Some of them have hits and blocks and everything like that in there, penalty kill points, power play points. And this guy's going to be mooching hard this year playing with McDavid or Draisaitl, probably McDavid for most of it. He's going to get 30 goals, I think, and he's going to have a little over 70 points. So our boy Zachy, good for him, big contract, and he's going to have a big year.
All righty. At number 6, I got Mikko Rantanen. I think this guy, if he could play a full year, he could be top 5 in scoring 100%. We all know how good that line is. Kind of like, I like to think that he is the Pastrnak there in Colorado. You have Rantanen there, and you have, of course, Pastrnak in Boston. The 2 very similar fantasy type players. Rantanen could get you 40 goals, and he could even get you 25. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not really sure what his role is on that team. I don't know if he's a sniper, if he's just that power forward. I really have no idea. All I know is time and time again, he's just up there in points year after year after year. So I had Rantanen last year. He was absolutely incredible. I got him here at number 6. Just an absolute horse.
Number 6, I got David Pastrnak. This guy scares the shit out of me because he went through that injury last year, and he was even playing that like 50% through a lot of the season, and he still went fucking point per game and over point per game in the playoffs. So this is one of the guys you look back in the last 20, 30 years in drafts, and you're just going to ask how did this happen? Stepped into the league and one of the best snipers in the league. Him, Matthews, McKinnon, like a couple others, some of the absolute best snipers. Like, if he wins the Rocket this year, I would not be surprised. So I did not forget about Brad Marchand. I think he's going to have a solid year as well. I have him just out of the list. Pastrnak, I see him taking control this year. So I got him at number 6.
Yeah, my number 6, kind of similar. I only had one Bruins player. I was thinking of putting Pastrnak or Marchand, but I just think with everything Marchand does, and also you have to put penalty minutes into that too for some of these leagues, I think that's why he went into my list at that spot, and I think I had Pastrnak just outside of it. Another guy I had outside here as we're going here to the final 6, going into the final 5, was Kappersov, just because he did everything last year in a shortened year, and I think in a full year, I think he's going to lose his mind a little bit. He's playing in Minnesota, so that's why he's out of my list there. But at number 6, I got Alexander the Great, Ovi. He's slowing down, but 45 goals I think is realistic for him this year. He has Mantha too. Those guys on the power play together for a full year is going to be exciting to watch. So I got Ovi at number 6.
Number 5, Mumbo number 5. I got the big guy, Jonathan Huberdeau, Florida Panthers. Pagniello, you're probably surprised with how high I have him. I think this is the year I mentioned, I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago. I'm really high on Florida this year. I think they're either going to win the Atlantic and they're going to probably make a deep playoff run. I really like their team. I like how they got Reinhart Bennett. Jonathan Huberdeau is just one of the more underrated point-producing wingers in the league. When I look at all these videos that I've watched on YouTube, they don't really mention Huberdeau that much. They mention Rantanen, they mention Connor, they mention Ehlers, they mention Forsberg. They mention all these other guys before Huberdeau, and I'm like, hold on a second. Huberdeau has basically been on pace. I mean, he got 2 90-point years the year before, the year that just passed, and then even this year, he was on pace for 90 again. So playing with a guy like Barkov, who is, I think I said to Pagniello, I think it was a couple of nights ago, he could be a dark horse to win the Art Ross, Barkov. I think that's how outstanding offensively he is, and I think he's easily a top 10 player in this league. Huberdeau, to me, for sure will finish top 10 in scoring for wingers, I want to say the next 7 years. So I got him here really high at number 5, and the reason being I think Florida's just going to have an absolutely tremendous year.
I love it. Number 5 here, I got Mikko Rantanen. The guy had 30 goals in 52 games last year. I don't even consider him like that as a goal scorer. I think he'll get 30 to 40 most years, but that's like a 60 goal pace. Him and McKinnon were absolutely phenomenal last year. Like, Mikko's that unicorn type player that every team in the league pretty much wants. I think his points will fluctuate. His goals will fluctuate, but his points will be in between 80 to 100 most years. So this guy, Pasternak, kind of similar. It was pretty tough choosing between those two, but I got Mikko a little bit higher. I think he'll have a little bit more points. So, man, Colorado's scary over there. I got Mikko Rantanen at number 5.
Yeah, my number 5, Mikko Rantanen too. So just everything you guys said, like, he's playing with McKinnon another year now. Those guys have built a lot of great chemistry. They play off so well, and they're able to go up and down a little bit in scoring. Maybe one game McKinnon's scoring, another game Rantanen is putting it in. And I think he's a dynamic scorer that's going to help things a lot in Colorado. They have to have him in a different position sometimes, maybe on the right wing and left wing, like swapping here or there depending on the matchup. But I think he's a guy that has evolved a lot since we first saw him in the league, and that's why I have him at this spot. So Mikko Rantanen.
All right, at number 4, I can't believe I'm saying this. He's out of the top 3 for the first time in a while. Patrick Kane. I still think he's going to get you about 90 points. A lot of people that I've listened to, especially podcast related, they think that Patrick Kane is going to just tumble this year. They think that this is the year where, he's going to get about 80 and that's it. They're thinking his game can dip under a point a game as soon as this year. I think the people that say that are absolutely out of their mind. The last 3-4 years that I have seen from Patrick Kane, he's aging like fine wine. He's getting better. He's getting smarter. His playmaking ability is already elite. Even when he was scoring 40 goals, like you just mentioned, Pagniello, I never really saw Kane as a 40-goal scorer. I've always seen him as that 35 and 60 type of guy. He'll get you 95 points with 60 of them being assists. He's just an absolute stud. Now with DeBrincat getting basically 35 to 40 goals every year, expect Patrick Kane's assist numbers to stay about the same. I don't see the point totals to dip too much, especially now with Chicago improving tremendously in the offseason. I still got him being a dark horse to get 100 points again for I think the 5th time in his career. If he does it, it's Patrick Kane, one of the best offensive wingers I can remember. He's number 4.
Yeah, number 4, Patrick Kane. Pretty much everything you said. Also, there's no indication of why he would slow down. Since the 14-15 season, he's played every fucking game. There was a stint in 1920 where he missed a month, but he's been healthy. He's been putting up points. He's been top 10 every year. He's been dominating the league since he stepped into it. So Yeah, sure, he's out of the top three, but yeah, everything you said, man. Like, if he got 100 points this year, I'd be like, yeah, that's Patrick Kane. I don't know what the fuck people are smoking. So, guy's unbelievable. I got him at number 4.
Yeah, my number 4 is going to come as another surprise here. I might be going off the board, but from the Pittsburgh Penguins, Jake Guentzel. He's going to be playing a lot of wing this year. Jeff Carter's going to probably be playing center, replacing Malkin. So you're going to see Guentzel go on with Crosby, get a ton of points. Then after go and pick up the slack on the second line there with Carter, it's his time, I think, now. We've seen him the last few years. Even when they won the Stanley Cup, he came in and was scoring all the time, and then he slowed down a little bit during the regular season after that. But he's a consistent scorer, I think. This year, I think he's going to really break out and show the NHL that he's among the top wingers in the league. So I got Jake Guentzel in this spot.
At number 3, I got Mitch Marner. This guy can get 100 points this year, and I would not be surprised. The biggest thing with Mitch Marner, I wouldn't even be surprised if he led the league if our power play was on. If our power play is on, Mitch Marner could be second in scoring, maybe third behind the freaking 2 gods in Edmonton there, and Draisaitl and McDavid. I think what we saw this year in Marner, what did he have? He was on pace for, I think, 100. I think he had, 84 and 56? Something like that this year. Absolutely incredible. He's been the Leafs' best point producer that I can remember since Doug Gilmour and Matt Sundin. So Mitch Marner, just absolutely incredible. He's a wizard with the puck, one of the best playmaking wingers, if not the best playmaking winger in the NHL. I got Mitch Marner getting 100 this year, and that's why I got him at number 3.
Yeah, Mitch Marner, number 3. What you said. He might be the best playmaking winger in the league. He's been over point per game the last 3 years. The power play is – I'm happy you brought up the point about the power play, because there was a very long stretch where we couldn't get anything going, and we could have had so much more. So, fuck. Marner can be there every single year. Buddy's been working on his shot too. I feel like maybe around 30 goals. We'll see. So, I got Marner at number 3.
My number 3 here, I got Patrick Kane. I still think he's the top 3 winger in the league. I think Chicago improving is going to be helping his stats. He played well last year, even though they were struggling. They didn't have Jonathan Taves in the lineup. So now with Taves back, an improved roster, he's going to get more looks out there. He's going to get more opportunities. And just the morale of the team there, I think they're going to be a lot more positive. They're going to see that maybe they're going to be winning more and more. They have Fleury back there, Vezina winner, Stanley Cup winner. So I see Chicago getting back to the playoffs, and I see Patrick Kane being a big part of that. So I got him at number 3.
Awesome stuff. My number 2 is Artemi Panarin, and I was kind of surprised with if this was the Chris from 4 years ago, and I said Panarin second on any list, he probably would have laughed at me. But over the years, after watching what Panarin has done ever since the 2018 season, it's just he kind of reminds me of the transcendence of Kucherov, where Kucherov just every single year was just getting better and better and better. And even when he had 100 points, Kucherov, I remember, I think I said to Pagniello, it was at G's house, I said, okay, Kucherov 100, that's a career year. He's not getting more than that. And the year after that, he gets 128. Panarin had 92 and 64 in his first year with a new team. That's absolutely terrifying to even think of that statistic. I had him winning the Hart Trophy 2 years ago, even last year. A big reason why Zibanejad went off at that point was because of Artemi Panarin. Panarin is the guy that runs the offense. It doesn't matter what team he goes to. He's that good. He's that dynamic. I also have him hitting 100 points. The only reason why I don't have him at number 1 is I think the goal totals between number 1 and 2 are the big difference maker. I think I got Panarin getting 30 to 35, but man, he's going to battle Mitch Marner for the most assists out of all wingers by season's end.
Yeah, I got Artemi Panarin at number 2. You just see how different the Rangers were too when he went out of the lineup for a couple months. They just completely fell off the face of the earth. But yeah, well over a point per game. Everything you said, 30 to 40 goal. It doesn't really matter what team he plays on. The second he stepped into the league from the KHL, the KHL MVP, and then right away wins the Calder and then gets the ball running from there. So, yeah, man, Rangers have it nice over there. He could get well over 100 points. I can see it for sure. So, got our Timmy Panera, number 2.
All right, boys. You know what? I goofed this fucking list. I forgot about Panarin. So, you know what? I'm going to just stick with my list, but I goofed this one hard because I keep thinking about Panarin and, not being a winger for some reason. But, yeah, I goofed that. Panarin's definitely a top 10. Just not today for me, unfortunately. I totally slipped that. But I'll go with my final 2 that I had here. I had number 2, Mitch Marner. I think he's a guy that's going to get all those points that he did last year. In 50 whatever games he played, he got over 80. So I think this year it's not out of the question to get over 100. I think him, Matthews playing together a full year. Maybe he's going to play with Tavares, but I think with Nylander playing with Tavares last year and it working a little bit, I think Marner and Matthews all year together is realistic. And I don't know if you've seen Mitchie or not, but I think he's been working out, taking his vitamins, saying his prayers, brother. So I think he's going to be able to handle himself in the crease. I got Mitchie, number 2.
All right, my number 1 is the guy in the middle there, the guy that missed the whole year last year, Nikita Kucherov. Now, usually when a guy misses a whole year, he's usually not on a top 10 list, or maybe he's like 5th or 4th. But what we saw from Kucherov in the playoffs, oh my God, man. This guy had 36 points in the playoffs. Didn't matter. He missed the whole year with a hip injury. Those are one of the most serious injuries that a player can get. This guy comes back and just does the same stuff that he's been doing for years now. It feels like yesterday he just started emerging. It's already been, I think, 4 or 5 years of this. So you don't even have to worry about consistency or inconsistencies with Kucherov. He's just an absolute fantasy monster. I got him here at number 1, and I'm not going to lie to you guys. I wouldn't be surprised if he won the Art Ross again.
Yeah, Kuch at 1. I just don't understand how it's not like there was any warm-up time. Like, he stepped right into the playoffs. He didn't play a single game, and he still had 32 points in 23 games. And it was like, yeah, of course Tampa's going to win the cup. The fuck? You stupid? So I remember saying after his 85-point year, okay, that's probably it. Relax, pump the brakes now. And then he followed that up with 200-point seasons. And he would have done it this year for sure. So I don't know how anyone doesn't have him here. Yeah.
Yeah, number 1, Kucherov. I think the salary cap issues was a reason why he missed the entire year. They looked at that and said, okay, if we put Kucherov back in here, we're not cap compliant, so he'll be playing in the playoffs. Those fucking sneaky bastards, they found the loophole. Good for them. I probably would do the same thing. That's smart. But Kucherov, he's going to pick up right where he left off. This is a guy who scores at the pace that some of the other guys, like the centers, like Leon Draisaitl and McDavid, do. So Tampa are just lucky to have him still. Stamkos too, and Braden Point. These guys are going to be well into the playoffs. I think this is a team that can make another run. They could go back-to-back depending on matchups, but Kucherov being in there all year and building a rhythm, building his momentum, I think is going to be good for him. So he's number 1 once again.
Yeah, there's not a lot of guys. I look at wingers and I look at even the way he plays. It looks like sometimes it's effortless, and he'll have a 5-point game and it looks effortless. And it's like, how are you doing this? You're making it look effortless. Some of the breakaway goals that he scores, he doesn't even shoot it. It just goes in. He just fools the goalie. So his IQ is on another level when you think of offensively. I don't know, Pagniello, would you say that he kind of reminds you of a Patrick Kane? Just the way that he kind of goes out there, floats around, and he'll still produce 4 points in a game. And for me, this is a winger that rarely disappears. I know we talk about guys like JVR, Matthews, they're really good and they're really hot. They could be the best in the league. And then when they're off, they disappear. With Kucherov and guys like Panarin and Kane, I feel like they never ever disappear. They're always there every single game, night in, night out. You see number 86, you see number 88. And that's another reason why I don't think Marner will ever be number one on the list unless his consistency, unless he gets a little better game in and game out, because there are some games with Marner too, he just flat out disappears. Whereas with Kucherov and Kane and Panera, I'm saying year after year that these guys, they don't disappear, they benefit their teams, and they just score at a stupid rate. So I just wanted to say that about Nikita Kucherov, just the winger that you look back in like 10 years and you're just going to shake your head when someone mentions Nikita Kucherov's stats. Just ridiculous.
Yeah, nailed it there. Also, this is an Olympic year too, so I'm sure all three of these guys on this picture here, Kane, Kucherov, Martin, they'll be in the Olympics. Do you think any of these guys might be affected because of the extra games, or do you think they'll still manage to get the same amount of points?
Take it.
No, I think they're good. I think they're good to go, especially Marner. Got those young legs going on, but yeah, I mean, these guys have been playing a ton of hockey for a long time. I don't think they're gonna have this will have any effect on them whatsoever. So, yeah.
Yeah, I want to say the only guy that it would affect is Patrick Kane. But again, I don't even think it would affect him just based off of the amount of hockey that even that guy played. I remember it was from like 2010 to 16. I think him and Doughty played the most games out of any player in the league. So Patrick Kane, Kucherov, and Marner, all these three right here, when it comes to the amount of games that they played, these three are all workhorses. They're going to try and help their team as much as they can. So, Aulino, to answer your question, I don't think any of them will be affected. I think they're going to just go out there, continue to put up the points, and probably all three of these guys, come season's end, you're probably looking at the team leaders here, all three of these guys in points.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to watch, especially the Olympics, some early morning hockey. That should be fun. But we're going to move on here to the final 5 minutes here, 5-minute portion. Another big draft is happening here. This one isn't a fantasy one, but WWE, first night of the draft is Friday, second night on Monday on Raw. And a lot of big names are rumored to be going in this draft from NXT, from SmackDown, change of scenery. I'll ask you this first, Chris. Who would you like to see change brands, and what is your big prediction to happen?
My big prediction is, again, just like all those years ago, 2016, I think Seth Rollins is going to get drafted to Raw, and I think immediately he's going to reignite his NXT feud with Big E over there for the WWE title. I just feel like, what Roman Reigns has been doing on SmackDown, it's his show. I don't see Roman going to Raw at all. The title's blue. I don't see him leaving. With whatever's happening with Brock Lesnar, I heard there could be a scenario where Brock goes to Raw, because I hear they really want to push Brock versus Big E or Brock versus Bobby. But I do want to see, if it's not Seth Rollins going to Raw, I want to see the Demon Finn Balor go to Raw. It's one of the two, but those are the two guys that I really want to see go to Raw, because they need some sort of other star power other than Big E on Raw.
This might throw you off a bit, but I want to see Asuka go to SmackDown, specifically because Becky Lynch is there, and that seems to be the one person that she can't get over. So I feel like if they were to kind of rebuild Asuka again, and they could kind of get that going, that would be pretty sweet.
Yeah, I like it. And do you see any of the mid-card champs leaving? Like Damian Priest or Shinsuke?
I want to say if it is someone, it's probably Damian Priest. I feel like they're a little bit more, I think they're more focused on him right now than Shinsuke. I know what Shinsuke was doing with Jackson over there. I think it's solid. I'm pretty sure that's his name. I hope I'm saying it right. I'm not really the guy that plays the guitar, the guy that was doing the entrances for him. I think that was absolutely huge. But I think what Damian Priest has done the last 4 months, I think we said it not too long ago, ever since his feud ended with The Miz and Morrison at WrestleMania, I think WWE had always had big plans for him ever since getting called up. So I think Damian Priest's U.S. title run, if he were to go to SmackDown, I think it would absolutely benefit guys like Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, guys that have kind of been floundering for a bit. But I'm going to make a bold prediction here. I think if it's not Seth Rollins, that's the big guy that goes to Raw. I think the first overall pick in this whole draft, just based off of him freshly winning Money in the Bank, I think they're going to take Big E Langston first overall this time around.
I understood what happened on Raw this past week, but can Drew still get moved?
Oh yeah, that probably might happen. With the sword too. He'll point a fucking sword at everyone. It's his new thing.
I think if you want to talk about NXT, I think Io Shirai should get called up. I think it's probably her time now to. When I'm looking at NXT's roster and I'm looking at like the tenured guys that have been there for a while, I think Io Shirai, I think it's her time now to step up and make that main roster debut again. Do I really know where? I mean, as long as you have Becky and Charlotte as your champs, I think it doesn't really matter. But I would love to see Io maybe go to Raw because they do need a little more competition for Charlotte there.
Is this the all right, we see this all the time. Guys move brands like every single year. But for Ricochet specifically, is this his last go around where he's like, okay, if I'm not in a prominent spot by the end of the fucking year, I'm going to AEW or some shit?
Oh yeah,
absolutely, yeah. A guy like him, absolutely, and I wouldn't be surprised if many others were to follow in a superstar, even if it's not Ricochet, if it's like a Sami Zayn or a Kevin Owens, someone who's been floundering for a bit, all of a sudden, like May hits, or the night after WrestleMania, and it's like, listen, I've main evented numerous pay-per-views, I've had a nice Universal run. A lot of people, they see me as a top 20 wrestler in this company and you're not using me. Okay, I'm going to go to AEW or I'm going to go to a company that's actually going to take my talent seriously. So yeah, I think that's absolutely what has to happen, Pagniello, because again, competition is great in the industry of wrestling. We've seen it, especially recently with AEW continuously getting better as the days go on. I see Raw and SmackDown also getting better because they need to, compete with them in the ratings. So I think if I'm a Ricochet, if I'm a Sami Zayn, if I'm a Nakamura, if I'm a Kevin Owens, yeah, I'm going to be getting fed up sooner rather than later.
Yeah, another guy there from NXT I want to see, LA Knight, formerly Eli Drake. It's got to happen now. This guy's in his fucking 40s. Let's get going here. Developmental NXT, put that in the rear view. Time to make some money in the big time while you can before it's too late. I see AJ Styles being the big name from Raw to go to SmackDown, and I agree with the Seth Rollins going to Raw. I think that would make sense, him and Big E, and you can have AJ turn face and go after Roman. That'd be a different matchup to close out the year. And Drew also, I think he can go to SmackDown, but if he does go to SmackDown, it's going to be for another type of feud. Maybe like an Edge versus Drew. Maybe if they want to turn Drew heel, Edge would be the guy to go after. So I think right now they're in a position where they can make these big matches. And from the women's side, I see Sasha Banks going to Raw, and her and Charlotte will have the 10,000 match in their career against each other. So those are my predictions for that.
Love that.
Yeah. Also, I want to just say maybe a couple more names. I think Edge is another guy that we can see going to Raw. I know he just got injured, but I'm just thinking beneficial for the guys that are kind of on their final legs, like Seth Rollins. This is a guy where I think if he were to move to Raw, it'd be beneficial. But again, a lot of people want to see Roman versus Seth Rollins for the Universal title, especially this type of Roman Reigns. But I think just the way they've been going about it with Seth Rollins as this top heel, I think it still puzzles me to this day how he's still a heel, because I think a lot of people, they need to see Rollins versus Roman, where I don't know. I guess I'll ask this to you guys. Between these two names that I'm going to mention, which one would be more far-fetched to be moved? Seth Rollins, a guy that everybody wants to see face Roman Reigns, maybe go up against a guy like Big E on Raw, or would you rather, and maybe even be more surprised to see a guy like Brock Lesnar go to Raw and feud with the likes of Lashley and Big E?
Well, I'd probably be more surprised with Brock. When it comes to Brock, they usually don't fuck with him. When it comes to things like that. For Seth, yeah, you could definitely see them moving Seth over between the two. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I think with Brock, it's going to come down to like what's going to make the network happy. Like, if you're moving him off SmackDown and going to Raw, like, what are they going to do? Like, how well will he do? I think it's going to come down to like whether him and Paul Heyman, this dynamic works, where Brock's the face without Paul Heyman going against Roman. So if they see it working going into Crown Jewel, I think they'll look at that saying, okay, you know what? Brock can handle his own. We'll have Paul Heyman work both shows, but I think it might be just far-fetched now because like Paul Heyman would have to work Raw and SmackDown and you would have to give him more money. So I'll say Brock stays for this one. He'll camp out on the side. Maybe after Mania he'll move over, but I got him staying. And another name that would be interesting is they got to move Bobby Roode and Dolph Ziggler from this tag team. So I'd give Bobby Roode the shine on SmackDown, have AJ go to SmackDown, and then you know what? Dolph Ziggler, this whole Shawn Michaels parallel in his career, have him go with Omos and he'll take over, have the big bodyguard.
Now, the thing with AJ, if he were to go to SmackDown, are you just purposely doing that for like the internet fans because Finn Balor just lost to Roman? So you're going to do AJ versus Roman down the line? Or because like this is another move for me that would it would make sense, but at the same time, like what are his limitations and expectations going to SmackDown? Because when I view AJ Styles, I would immediately put him in the main event against Roman Reigns just because I'm looking at all the faces on SmackDown, very, very limited. And again, we've even seen AJ versus Brock. We've seen AJ versus Roman, both of them absolutely incredible. So I mean, if there was one guy that would benefit the most from this draft for a move, I think it is AJ Styles. Pagniello, I guess me and Aulino think it's going to happen. If AJ were to go to SmackDown, do you see him immediately going on the first Friday and becoming a babyface, or do you see him continuing this heel work if he were to go to SmackDown?
I like the heel work. Keep it going. I don't really have much to add to that. I feel like with Styles, you don't need like a big brand, like a big draft thing to change AJ Styles' character. You could just kind of flow with it over time. So I would just stick with the heel stuff, and there are guys on the SmackDown roster he could definitely fuck with, and then he would definitely be back in that world title picture. But I was gonna say, because we haven't said his name yet, would a guy like Cesaro moving brands throw you guys off? Because I feel like when I look at the WWE title picture, it's fucking Big E and Lashley. And I know Bill's back in the frame now, but like picture a guy like Cesaro flipping brands and just immediately going after that title. I feel like that would kind of flip the fucking script.
I only say no because a guy like Big E having the WWE title is already like it's like a similar move where when Big E won the WWE title, a lot of people took that as a feel-good story and like, oh yeah, this is his big achievement. Like this is his one run and that's it. That's where a lot of people I mean, this is where I want Big E to prove us all wrong, and that like he can be a multiple time WWE champion, not just another Kofi Kingston type of story. But yeah, if Cesaro were to go to Raw and immediately, start gaining some wins, and then all of a sudden you have, wow, he's in the main event scene on Raw against Big E. Like those two names in a main event scene, I never ever thought I would be putting that sentence together. So if that were to happen, obviously that would surprise me, and I think that would make a lot of fans happy. But man, as long as Vince McMahon is there, I don't see Cesaro getting that WWE championship opportunity. He sniffed it with Roman, didn't get it. He lost to Seth Rollins in that feud. I just don't see him ever getting that opportunity. But you know what? Prove me wrong and make me eat my words, because I want to see Cesaro at the top of the WWE ladder.
Yeah, I agree. I only say no because like Sheamus is there, and right away the call would be, okay, reunite the bar or have Sheamus and Cesaro go at it. Like, I don't think it would benefit either guy right now, unless they swap brands. You have Sheamus go to SmackDown again and Cesaro back to Raw. But like, I think right now, just keep them on the same show and continue to build. With AJ, I think it would only make sense if you have a big baby face match as AJ taking on Roman to close out the year. You can have AJ be a face going into the Rumble and Mania. Maybe have some big matches. Maybe Finn turns heel and him and AJ go at it. But I think with Cesaro, that's a tricky situation just because of Sheamus being on the show.
I'm just thinking, like, because Chris said it, like for Big E, everyone's been waiting for so long, right? And he finally got there. For Cesaro, it was the same thing, but he never fucking got there. So what a better opportunity to fuck the guy over who did get there. And then that would be like Cesaro turning heel on Big E, and it would really fuck a lot of things up, but I could definitely see that story working if they did it.
Oh yeah, that would be absolutely incredible. But I think the perfect opponent for a guy like Cesaro to win, it would be against a guy like Roman Reigns right now, specifically the run that he's had. If you really want to throw a curveball here and you really want all these older internet fans to get their knickers in a twist, you have Cesaro, a guy come out of not out of nowhere, but a guy, that everybody loves, never has had that opportunity come out and beat Roman Reigns. I think that would have been the icing on the cake. I think it would have been on par with Daniel Bryan and Kofi Kingston's title win if Cesaro were to beat a guy like Roman Reigns. So I'm not going to say if Cesaro were to go to Raw and beat Big E for the WWE title, I don't think it would hamper it by any means. You're winning the top title. It's just, I think that the narrative behind Cesaro is a little more tricky than we think. So with Cesaro, it's all about, I guess, opportunity and timing. He hasn't really had the opportunity yet, but when he has, he's obviously knocked it out of the park. If he were to get drafted as that singles guy, I do think, because again, like if you're going to get drafted to another brand and you're the single star, I think everybody that gets drafted, either when you're on Raw or on SmackDown, you are going to be a big deal. Even if you're an NXT person getting called up, like look what happened over the years. We saw, I think last year, I think it was Riddle. I could be wrong. Keith Lee, another guy that got called up. All these NXT people that get called up, they're immediately impactful people. And again, even when Gargano and Ciampa, I know that was a complete just blunder of a draft, but when they got drafted, they immediately were marquee people getting matches night in, night out. So if Cesaro, if I were to see his name on Monday Night Raw or on Friday Night SmackDown, changing brands, that should just excite us either way, because I think he will be important moving forward.
Yeah, well, that's going to be one to look out for. You nailed it there. I like it. Maybe we'll see it happen. But guys, this has been a fun episode here. We went down our top 10 fantasy wingers, gave our WWE Draft predictions here, and now next week we'll find out what happened. It should be in for something special going into Crown Jewel. Already got our boy Bill back in the fold. Looking forward to seeing him in there. Maybe Big E's involved in that, and the two big men can bump meat. But that's all for this week. And stick around for next week for episode 150.